Greetings, my good bitches. The name's Francis, Coke Francis. I'm an editor, Twitch streamer, drag artist, and I'm here because apparently my last video was my 100th video, and I didn't notice until someone in the comments pointed it out to me, so, work? If you've been following me for a while, or at least since last September, you might have noticed I haven't made nearly as many jokes about the Great Kirkening as you might expect me to. Truth be told, I got most of them out of my system within the first 24 hours after the event, much to the dismay of centrists on the internet who are determined to lionize a guy who is afraid of black pilots and school lunches. And I never really gave my official opinion on the matter because I just assumed everybody knew how I felt. So before we get into the subject matter of this video, I'll say this. As a general rule, I don't believe people should be killed for speech, because I'm a free speech absolutist. Beat the crap out of him maybe, but not ending one's life entirely. I hated and still hate Charles Entertainment Kirk and everything he stood for. But at the end of the day, he had the right to say whatever he wanted, just as I have the right to say whatever I want, and everyone has the right to react to our speech however they want. Now, all of that being said, f that guy, f everything he said, f the people trying to carry his torch, and f everyone trying to whitewash who he truly was. Yes, it's extremely shocking and horrifying to see that happen to another human being, no matter who it is. But imagine if there were cameras during all the school shootings he said were worth it to keep the Second Amendment. We would have seen the same picture. But as soon as the same thing happened to their favorite podcaster, the Protect the Children crowd finally came out in full force. The fallout from the Great Kirkening was even more dramatic than the event itself. From Erica Kirk's WWE entrances at her husband's funeral, to cringy AI songs that have been hilariously reclaimed by drag performers, to thousands of Americans getting fired from their jobs because TMU Jonathan Van Ness made a registry of everybody hating on his favorite podcaster. There have even been efforts to give Charles Entertainment Kirk a gravesite near the Capitol, to name street signs after him, even to put his face on money, which, to be fair, was small enough to fit on a dollar bill anyway. As far as I know, all of these efforts have been shot down. Unfortunately, Charlie Kirk has been made immortal, and if you want to see a really fantastic and in-depth breakdown of this phenomenon, be sure to check out FD Signifier's video about Charlie Kirk and the conservative death cult. Which brings us to the topic of today's video, which has forced me to ask a previously unheard question in human history. What's poppin' in Idaho? Let's see. The hetero awesomeness guy just lost an election. My friend Aunt Tifa is doing a show with Maddie Morphosis. That's pretty cool. That's it. That's about it. Oh, and, there's something very strange happening at a humble Froyo shop in Coeur Lane, a surprisingly fruity name for a city in Idaho. They've recently achieved virality for a Kirk-Tastic ad campaign that seems like it couldn't possibly be real. The boys might have just ended, but thankfully, we have places like Grooveberries frozen yogurt to keep the spirit of painfully on-the-nose satire alive. Except, this isn't satire. It's an example of late-stage capitalism so rampant and shameless that it's even got old Coke Francis asking the question, can we just let the guy rest already? But before we get into more of this shit, a brief word from our sponsor and our devilishly handsome host. So let's say you're a sheep. It's been a good day working at your sheep-owned business, and you decide to try out that restaurant for sheep you've heard about. It's vegan, it's organic, it's pasture to table only. So one day on your lunch break, you head over to the sheep restaurant, you walk up to the counter and order your sheep lunch, and you can't believe what you're seeing. A wolf at the cash register dressed in your clothes. You realize this isn't the safe space for sheep you thought it was. It's just a front for wolves to take your hard-earned sheep money. There's a reason you wouldn't let wolves run a restaurant for sheep. Just like there's a reason why Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. When John Morgan's brother Tim suffered a catastrophic injury while working at Disney World, the mishandling of Tim's case led John to believe that the system was rigged against financially struggling families like his. In a world of sheep businesses run by wolves, John vowed to protect the powerless against powerful interests, creating a law firm that emphasizes helping clients who might otherwise get shortchanged, and most importantly, doing so with compassion, transparency, and no upfront fees. Today, Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm, with more than 1,000 lawyers and 100 offices nationwide. With a proven track record of fighting for the people for over 35 years, Morgan & Morgan knows a thing or two about fighting to get you the compensation that you deserve, with over $30 billion recovered for their clients. If you're injured because of someone else's negligence, you deserve to get paid, and their fee is free unless they win a case. Not all law firms are the same, so if you're ever injured or in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description, by scanning the QR code right next to my very handsome face, or by going to forthepeople.com/queen. And with that, back to our regularly scheduled programming. So Grooveberries frozen yogurt was actually first founded in 2012. Obama was still in office, Twitter was only being used for Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad spoilers, and everybody was drawing mustaches on everything for some reason. There doesn't seem to be any publicly available information on the previous owners, meaning Grooveberries exists in exactly two planes of existence: before the Gibson family bought it in 2021 and after. My research for this section was made blissfully simple because the Gibsons posted their entire life story on the store's about page, right next to a cute picture of them that looks like they're about to announce their new baby, Tragedy. Meet the people behind the magic. Chase and Sarah Gibson's journey to Grooveberries began at, college, married in 2015, working, when the world shifted in 2020, so did their path. Okay, here we go. In September 2021, the Gibsons settled in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, embracing business ownership with Grooveberries. They loved the flexibility it's brought to their homeschooling family of 5. Are these the owners of a legitimate business, or that girl who bullied me in middle school giving the perks of joining her new pyramid scheme? The only way you can homeschool all those kids is if they're in the store with you, or you hired an at-home tutor, and who knows all the woke nonsense they could be corrupting your children with behind your back, and the opportunity to connect with their community in meaningful ways. As devout Christians, their faith is the cornerstone of their lives and work. For the Gibsons, every decision, whether it's serving customers or raising their children, reflects their guiding belief: Jesus is king. That Instagram bio classic. Their menu is pretty standard for a frozen yogurt place, including dairy-free and gluten-free options. Woke much? Clearly the store had been doing enough business to keep the lights on, but it's unknown how much they were pulling in prior to everything we'll be talking about today. But in 2025, the same month that the Gibsons would be celebrating Grooveberries' 4-year anniversary, was marked by something much larger: the Great Kirkening. As I mentioned earlier, Kirk has been made immortal against our will. From the memes, to the doubling down on memes every time the dark humor crowd throws a tantrum over him, to the right's morbid determination to keep his voice alive in their death cult. Despite the MAGA movement slowly but surely fading, Turning Point USA is more profitable than ever, with the world's scariest husky at its helm. But as we know, my good bitches, any left versus right issue is almost always eventually revealed to be a top versus bottom issue. They can preach all day about how they're carrying on Charlie's mission or whatever, but the bottom line here is their bottom line. Why should Turning Point let the dude rest when his death means a massive uptick in profits and Erica getting practically bukkakied with business opportunities? She's a prime example of the Streisand effect, where attempts to hide or censor something just ends up drawing more attention to it. And it's not really clear just how much of this is intentional. The fireworks, the Liberace outfits, the bizarre AI tributes, it's not very different from the spectacle spectacle performances you'd see at a megachurch. It's easy to chalk all of this up to a lack of self-awareness or even basic empathy for someone they allegedly revere and respect. But there might be more intention behind the bombastic pageantry they've turned Kirk's death into. It became a widely memed spectacle because it has a very special use in late-stage capitalism, which brings us back to Grooveberries and the Gibsons, who wasted no time after the assassination by launching an ad campaign that could only exist in this vacuum of space we like to call the free marketplace. Because the only thing more appetizing than frozen yogurt is having to look at Charlie Kirk's capital gum line and lowercase teeth while you're eating it.
Grooveberries frozen yogurt has been placing stickers with a photo of Kirk on its red cups with 1993 to 2025 beneath his name. Grooveberries shared that they plan to donate the money made from the yogurt cups to Kirk's family.
Before Charlie's death, we were already trying to push Christianity in here, and I think people were really receiving it and not receiving it already. We're not trying to be pushy with Charlie, it's just that's who we support, and if people don't like it, that's okay. Right! Why shouldn't they take this golden opportunity to milk Kirk for what he's truly worth in this economy? Especially because the Gibsons clarified that they will not feature Jesus on their cups or merch or whatever because his image is a sacred one. I feel like that's crossing a line, and that's just what my conviction tells me. Now, I totally agree with them on this one. Just because Kirk is a sacred cow does not mean that face is. Sorry. Was. As fellow parents of 3 young children, we really resonated with Erica Kirk's mention of their daughter's blueberry budget in her address to the nation. You know what? If there's anyone out there who could relate to that, it's definitely the owners of a Froyo shop. Imagine taking inventory at the end of the day and finding out those 3 little boogers ate your entire stock of blueberries and blueberry accessories. We are going to be supporting her and this fund in the midst of their daddy's work trip with Jesus. And that's all fine and good. Even though he's on a work trip to pick blueberries with Jesus, sounds like the last words you'd hear before Marlon Brando kills you with one hand and eats a chicken parm with the other. The Gibsons also made it clear that this campaign was about Christianity and not about politics. Honoring Kirk means honoring Jesus because Kirk stood for Christianity, is a sentence Sarah Gibson said out loud to a person. They'll take Charlie's podcasts and his speeches and sort of pick and pull what they want to and present it without viewing the whole video. He was just misunderstood. He's just trying to get people to go to the kingdom. Right. When Charlie said things like, if I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified, he was just being taken out of context. And we have the whole video to prove it.
This United story and the DEI story hits so hard because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off, and I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
See, guys, we've all got this totally messed up. What he meant to say is that he thinks black people aren't qualified to be pilots. Personally, I'd be much more concerned about all the oxygen he'd use up on that plane running his mouth like that. Thankfully, we'll never have to worry anymore. Oh, and don't worry, good bitches. The Gibsons were not about to stop at just selling Kirk-Tastic cups. It was as simple as just a sticker with his name and his birth year to death year, just as a memoriam, and then we kind of evolved from there and started putting Bible verses on some of the stickers. We started selling stickers, some hoodies, shirts, stuff like that too, just because we got so many people wanting to participate in keeping his legacy alive. And I know what you're thinking, but Francis, I don't live anywhere near Grooveberries frozen yogurt, or even Idaho in general. How can I get this merch to carry on the legacy of some f***ing podcaster queen? I am simply pregnant with enthusiasm to announce that their merch is, in fact, available for purchase on their website. Cups, stickers, shirts, hoodies, hats, all with different Bible verses, but with the exact same profile shot of him, I assume to minimize that head-to-face ratio. They do have cups available to showcase that signature gum line, but if you want that one, you might have to make a trip to Grooveberries yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's what Charlie would have wanted. If this guy could schlep 62 miles just to give these people $100, I mean, technically you could, but I wouldn't recommend it. I bought a cameo from Ben Starr with that amount of money. Also available for purchase on their website is my personal favorite, the Well Done Thou Good and Faithful Servant Blueberry Patch Magnet. Charlie Kirk died a martyr for his faith in Jesus Christ.
And the Civil Rights Act, though, let's be clear, created a beast, and that beast has now turned into an anti-white weapon.
He spoke the truth even when it was hard.
We note in our piece that Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true.
He never backed down from his stance in spreading the truth with the goal of saving the lost.
So I'm sorry, are you trying to say that blacks thrive under subjugation?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I'm asking you the question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil. But what happened? Something changed.
This legacy must be continued.
Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact.
We refuse to allow his voice to go silent.
One of the reasons I'm pro-Israel is that when Israel gets invaded on their border, they defend their border.
The world as a whole needs us.
Let me also speak to some of the young ladies here in high school. Interestingly, I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree. And just be clear, that's why you're going to college, right? Don't lie to yourself. I'm studying sociology. No, you're not. We know why you're here. And that's okay.
To continue carrying his message forward in his earthly absence.
You had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped. And she was going to give birth and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
So ever since they started doing this after the Great Kirkening, sales and traffic at Grooveberries have allegedly skyrocketed, though Sarah refuses to share just how much they're raking in. And for the first month after the Great Kirkening, they donated 25% of the proceeds from their Kirk-Tastic cups directly to Turning Point USA. Because won't somebody please think of the millionaires? But at the very least, in the principle of the thing, they did put their money where their mouths are, pun fully intended, and they didn't pocket all the revenue generated by his image and likeness. It's only right. There's a lot that goes into running a business, and it wouldn't be right for us to just take all the proceeds. A certain percent needs to go to the right initiative that we're supporting. Yes, Miss Girl, give us that bare minimum. And now a whopping 5% of the proceeds go directly to the woman who looks like a Disney employee who'd spit in your drink. Which brings us to Grooveberries' social media, which you might have already seen, and what inspired me to do a dumb little video on this in the first place. Because when I first saw them, I thought surely these couldn't possibly be real. There's no way the lack of self-awareness here is this strong. There's no way they watched this back before posting and didn't see that. Just swap Charlie's face with Homelander's or the Deep's and tell me this isn't a gag from the boys. I keep expecting the camera to pull back to reveal Oh Father saying that these will help spread the word of God or whatever. What's that, Lassie? The Gibsons actually did say that? As Christians, you're called to spread the word of God no matter what you're doing, and we felt this was the appropriate thing we should do in the moment after prayer. How does one satirize that which is inherently satirical? Faith, fellowship, and Froyo is their motto, and they even have a new Kirk-Tastic flavor on their menu. Charlie Kirk's mint chocolate chip. I assume it's the color of swamp water so that nothing brown mixes in with the white majority. Weirdly, the most infuriating thing about this page is all of the dunking videos. Like, they have this perfectly shaped Froyo swirl, this beautiful silhouette, and then they just destroy it by dunking it into the worst toppings imaginable. I don't know if he's watching this, but I am begging Gordon Ramsay to do a reaction to these, especially when they're dunked directly into the f***ing container. Are you kidding me? Hey, look at that. Even your frozen yogurt has a segregationist mind of its own. The toppings are a perfect example of...
But your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Like banana runts, or hot tamales, or Lego candy, or anything else you'd fill a bag with at the novelty candy store at the mall because you thought it looked cool. Then you completely forgot about it because the candy didn't actually taste good, and then you'd rediscover it in your mom's minivan 3 months later. Will I get canceled if I say white people have to be stopped? POV, you choose Christ over the crowd. Okay, so then what's with the whole make heaven crowded thing? I'd choose hell any day if this is the shit you're serving up in heaven. Do you believe this? No to the rest of your sentence. That he died and rose again so you could have eternal life? Bro, I'm just trying to eat my ice cream. Tell us when to stop. The best time to stop was September 12th, 2025. The second best time is right now. Some ideas are just too good to stay. Come on, you guys. God, at least they had the decency to not put his face on the Sandy J's taco. This is what everyone's crack looks like after a Fire Island party. Current hyperfixation. Leave it to white conservatives to appropriate an autistic term after using us as an excuse to not get vaccinated. Similarly, leave it to white conservatives to celebrate Cinco de Mayo while cheering on ICE concentration camps. Me when Leon Kennedy throws his holster in the trash. Huh? What? Who said that? I didn't hear anything. So, sprinkled between countless videos of 2 Kirks, 1 cup, is Sarah responding to the haters and defending their decision to do whatever the hell this is. And almost every single goddamn one has Goodies by Ciara playing in the background. And the only thing scarier than a copyright strike are the flashbacks to middle school dances that song gives me. It wasn't really until February of this year, after they achieved virality, that they started posting their little "this is what Charlie actually said" or "this is what the Bible actually means" videos. Basically anything Sarah tells herself so she can sleep at night after profiting off the likeness of a white supremacist who believed that she shouldn't even have a job in the first place. And my favorite thing about these is how every single one of them just proves the points that she's trying to squash.
Blonde, blue-eyed women who do this brainwashing. The definition of bigot is somebody who is intolerant of someone's differing beliefs, races, genders, religions, politics, etc.
Right.
Now let's go to the word hypocrite. A hypocrite is a person whose behavior contradicts their stated beliefs or feelings. So isn't it being a bigot to call me out for what defines me physically?
I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop here. Did you realize halfway through filming that he actually fit that definition perfectly? So you brought in a new word to define that had nothing to do with the rest of the conversation?
Yes, keep glazing the guy that said are worse than the...
Right.
First, let's listen to what Charlie Kirk said.
So you're comparing to the...
Absolutely I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
That's literally what he said.
The women should be silent in the churches, for they are not authorized to speak, but are to take a subordinate place, as the law says. So this verse is clearly speaking to the internal order of the church assembly. The Bible calls for male pastoral leadership, not female. And this is because the church should reflect the natural order that God has put in place.
Are you stretching before these mental gymnastics? So, as you can imagine, in this beautiful, free marketplace of ideas that likes to call itself the United States of America, the reactions to Grooveberries' Kirk-Tastic ad campaigns have been mixed. Allegedly, sales have increased, despite the Gibsons declining on giving us the numbers, and they have received a lot of support from the definitely not a cult in any way community. Like the guy I mentioned earlier who drove across state lines just to give them a $100 bill. On the opposite side of the aisle, they've also been receiving a lot of death threats. I'm just gonna come out and say, not cool, they don't deserve that. I won't stop you from visiting their social media, or cracking jokes, or even sending hate their way. okay. But if y'all could do me a solid, please don't send any death threats to these people or do anything that might put their physical safety at risk. Okay? Okay. Cool. Appreciate. That said, despite death threats obviously not being appropriate here, there's nothing that would warrant that kind of response. Charlie got kirked because of the very thing that made him a multi-millionaire. Again, I do not believe people should be for speech. But when your entire brand is shaping young people's minds with bigotry and using your enormous platform to spew hateful, violent rhetoric towards marginalized people, don't be f***ing surprised when it comes back to bite you in the ass. And certainly don't be surprised when the death of someone like that is met with indifference or even celebration. The Gibsons say they don't know why they're getting so much hate when people are pointing out exactly why in the comments, but I know, bold of me to assume they read. It's the exact same tactic as that Poindexter who got deliciously punched for supporting ICE. I'm just over here, I'm not doing anything, I'm not inciting anything, when that's exactly what the f*** you're doing. And you know that.
Our social media has been getting a lot of attention.
Oh, there was a big impact, alright.
But that also comes with negative comments, bad reviews.
Except this review has absolutely nothing to do with Charlie and is actually calling out your cross-contamination. It's almost as if that's what happens when you dip a cup of Froyo directly into the toppings containers that you serve the public with. Maybe the clientele caught those 3 little assholes stealing the blueberries with their bare hands. I would have called the police, personally.
We would really appreciate any and everybody who sees this that supports us to go and report those 1-star reviews. A lot of the reviews are obviously from people who have never been here before.
Girl, you don't know that. Do you keep a registry of everyone who hates you the way that Closeted Twink kept one of everyone who hated Charlie? What is it with you guys in your registries anyway? Dennis Reynolds' ass behavior. Now, all that being said, death threats aren't cool. Please don't do that. But by all means, do make jokes, though you might have already been beaten to the punch on a lot of them, like I was. Editor, which is me, cue the chocobo music. You forgot to poke a hole in the side when your neck hurt kinda. You'd think after all the poop stuff they'd pick a different flavor. Can you make an Epstein cup for the Patriots? I can't wait to have my transgender stripper meet up here. Is the cherry supposed to represent the gun? We got Charlie Kirk Froyo before GTA 6. Dude, I'm a Republican and even I think this is f***ing weird. Every time I walk past y'all, I spit at your shop. Are you okay, babe? You've barely eaten your Kirk-Gurt. Girl, shut up and put the yogurt in the cup. Shawty gave me Kirk in the Grooveberries parking lot. Counting or not counting calories? And I'm sure I'll get a couple of stray Charlie Simps in the comments being like, but why are these jokes okay about him and not jokes about George Floyd? George Floyd was some guy who was yet another example of the American police force's history of brutalization and racial profiling of people of color. Charlie Kirk was a multi-millionaire who made a living and name for himself by being a piece of shit, including spreading rhetoric that led to the death of George Floyd and others like him. And everyone around him, including his wife, gleefully capitalized off of his demise, while their strongest keyboard warriors narked on everyone who didn't give a shit about it and ended their livelihoods and careers over it. Hope that clears things up, Diva. So you might be wondering, what does TPUSA have to say about all this? Do they even know about this? Well, the Gibsons never actually shared just how much money they've donated to Toilet Paper USA, only that they donated 25% of the proceeds after the first month and 5% after. They were featured on the Charlie Kirk show because that's still a thing, because it generates money and they therefore have to keep it going no matter what. Allegedly, that money was going to support Erica Kirk, who, according to my research, has not thanked or even acknowledged the Gibsons' efforts, including when Sarah made a whole video about the the importance of not dehumanizing Erica Kirk when she's making a meme out of herself. It's unknown if there's been any direct communication between them. You're such a good girl for Erica. Whether the Gibsons are doing this because they genuinely think it's the right thing to do, or they're just using some racist podcaster's image and likeness as a marketing tactic, all while wrapping themselves in a Bible like it's some kind of shield, truth be told, I don't know if Erica Kirk would give two fucks about this. First of all, she does not need your money. She is the CEO of a multi-million-dollar conservative think tank. I'm sure she'd be thrilled to know about another merch opportunity, but I get it, Gibsons. The best way to uphold the word of God and spread Christ's message is to give your hard-earned money to the 1% who wouldn't piss up your ass if your guts were on fire. And then I started asking myself, what would Charlie think of all of this? Would he be rightfully creeped out? Would he wholeheartedly support it like the absolute ghoul that he is? Was? 'Cause you gotta wonder, just how long are they planning on milking this thing? I guess this is just the natural progression of a capitalist death cult where their only concern for their Lord and Savior is how far they can monetize him. The Gibsons refuse to put Jesus on their merch, but have no problem using the face of somebody who they believe spread the words of Jesus. Did Jesus drop the black women have less brain processing power line before or after he flipped those tables? I don't remember that part. Great book though. Very exciting stuff. More interesting than anything this guy had to say. I have no idea how to end this very weird video. So I'll leave you with this. I hope you're all as well as you possibly can be right now. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves and that you're living your lives in a way that won't cause people to celebrate once you're gone. If things are terrible, I promise there are better days ahead. If you were thinking of leaving us at any point, I'm very glad you decided to stay here. I know for a fact you're all doing your best, just as most people are, and I believe in you, and I'm very proud of you. You are all beautiful, your butts look fantastic, and I think it's high time we checked out some winning comments from the last video. Jameson P 3873 says, next year they will redeem the Met Gala in the eyes of QCF when the theme will be Leon S. Kennedy. I will take the video down if that ever happened. I will say it'll probably be the unofficial dress code at the horror convention that I go to every year, and I intend on being the tightest one. How's that for a sneak peek? Daniel Havens 8819 says, telling jokes about the billionaires throwing a fashion show while they slowly strangle us to death. I guess you could call that Gala's humor. Ruleed says, Katy Perry looking like she told her mom she needed an astronaut costume at 9 p.m. the night before the project was due. You too could be featured in the next video. Leave a comment below. I will pick my favorite ones and give you a shout out next time. But if you'd like to guarantee your name be featured at the end of every video, please consider joining my Patreon. If you join any of the membership tiers that are conveniently named after Fallout protagonists, your name will be mentioned at the end of every video. You might also get other cool stuff like access to my Discord, behind the scenes content on how I make my wigs, ad-free and uncensored versions of my videos. So if you love my content and my drag, you can support this channel directly by clicking the link to my Patreon in the description box. And if you'd like to give your money to a much more worthy cause, I'm currently helping to sponsor a beautiful family who's trying to survive the ongoing genocide in Gaza. The link to their Chuffed campaign is in the description, and even just sharing the link is extremely helpful if you're unable to donate. If you would like to see me simp for my favorite game characters and get visibly frustrated in real time, please follow me on Twitch. But if you have better things to do on the weekends, you can catch all of my favorite streams on my brand new gaming channel, Queen Coke Francis Live. I post new streams there weekly, and I will be holding polls in my community tab on what you would like to see me play next. And if you would like to see even more of my clown mug elsewhere, please consider following me on Instagram or Blue Sky. My handle for all of the above is at Queen Coke Francis. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't done so already, please make your way to your favorite local Froyo shop, and once you fill up your Kirk-Tastic cup with some Kirk-Tastic Froyo, add your own weirdly suggestive toppings by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can. Thank you again to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video, and thank you to all my patrons and subscribers who keep this channel going. And, of course, as always, until next time,